Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast, brought to you by BuckeyeHuddle.com. I'm Mark Givler. Got Kevin Noon here. Recruiting capsules continuing here for signing day, class of 2024. Buckeyes hoping to sign another top 5 recruiting class. We'll see how things play out over the course of the day. But in the meantime, we'll keep you guys updated as LOIs roll in. We'll post these little capsules. We're going to go about 8 to 10 minutes on each guy who signs, look at some films, give a breakdown of their game, give a breakdown of kind of what kind of room they're entering at Ohio State, what the outlook is of the position, things like that. So we are up to Payton Pierce, a 4-star linebacker out of the state of Texas. Really one of the big signature recruiting wins for Ohio State this cycle. James Laurinaitis came in, had a prior relationship with Payton from his time at Notre Dame. And at one point, it looked like Payton Pierce was going to go to Notre Dame. And then when Laurinaitis moved to Ohio State, things really seemed to turn toward the Buckeyes with Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma kind of taking the lead in that recruitment and kind of being the 3 to really watch. But, what do you think about Pierce and kind of what the Buckeyes are getting there?
Yeah, I really like Payton Pierce. I had to kind of look where Lucas, Texas was. It's outside of Dallas. It's really outside of Plano for those of you who know the Metroplex. So, I mean, he's like a far, far, far suburb of Dallas. And, this is a kid that is a top 200, top 150 type of kid, depending on which set of rankings you're looking at. And I think he's just kind of that blue collar linebacker that Ohio State fans have come to love through the years. I think he's one that they're going to know what to do with. I think sometimes they get these linebackers and they're just not sure. I mean, or is he a jack? Is he a linebacker? Is he a big safety? I think with Payton Pierce, I really like him to fill one of the linebacker roles in Ohio State's 4-2-5 system. I think that he's somebody who isn't going to be asked to like immediately have an impact in terms of at linebacker, but I think he's somebody who can come right in, special teams and things of that nature. I mean, this kid just is, you look at some kids and say, oh, that kid's a football player. Oh, that kid's a basketball player. This kid's a football player.
Yeah. And I think he's going to settle in at the Mike spot. I think that's pretty much written in stone at this point. That's basically what he is at the high school level. And that's what Ohio State's recruited him to play. Definitely a kid who can find the football. He's just a pure tackling machine. He had some injury issues earlier in his high school career, which I think may have actually hurt his ranking. I had guys down in Texas after coming out of a sophomore year saying he's the best Mike linebacker in Texas, and then again had to battle through some injury stuff, and was good to see him kind of rebound this year. Had a good year, and is a guy that I think Ohio State fans are going to really like just because of the physical presence he brings, physical mentality he brings to the position. But, has some ability as a blitzer, but at the end of the day is going to be mostly a Mike linebacker, kind of flow to the football and kind of stuff the run there in the middle. Tommy Eichenberg did a good job of that for Ohio State the last couple of years, but I think Pierce is actually a little bit more athletic than Tommy was coming out of St. Ignatius. So he's a guy who I think can run a little bit better than Tommy. And that's obviously pretty high praise though, because, Tommy was linebacker of the year in the Big Ten this year. So, that's kind of a high bar to live up to, but I do see kind of a more athletic Tommy Eichenberg when I watch Payton Pierce on film.
Yeah, let's hope he has more sturdy thumbs than Tommy Eichenberg had, because he was Tommy no thumbs in 22, and then this year he had his forearm injury. But always the best for Tommy. He was somebody who came into the class and people didn't really talk about him. And with Payton Pierce, again, we're talking about a guy who committed 8 months ago to Ohio State. I mean, that's just kind of SOP when we're looking at Ohio State's recruiting classes. They all seem to be somewhat front-loaded with a lot of kids who will commit around spring, maybe leading into the start of camp season, and then they get kind of forgotten about. And for Ohio State having such a great linebacker tradition, it's weird to see that linebackers sometimes slide under the radar. But I think that when you look at Pierce, maybe because he didn't play at a Pickerington school or at St. Ignatius or at Moeller or something, he doesn't have the amount of notoriety. He doesn't have the amount of conversation around him that some other, players might. But, he's somebody to look past at your own detriment.
Yeah, and like a lot of these guys, I don't think he's going to be relied on to, have to come in and play a major role on the defense right away. But, that linebacker room is thinning out. You're losing a couple of guys to the NFL. You're going to lose more guys next year. Cody Simon's going to be off after next year. A Mike linebacker, Reed Carrico hits the portal. There is opportunity here to kind of sneak your way onto the depth chart. We think Arvell Reese has probably found a home at defensive end. So there are a lot of factors at play here that could allow Payton Pierce to get on the field pretty early, actually. And so that'll be interesting to see if he can make a name for himself right away, probably get out there on special teams and see if he can impress enough early on to maybe get a spot on the depth chart there. I think he's walking into a great situation. And I think he's walking into a situation where, like I said, Ohio State doesn't need him to be ready this year, but they certainly need him to be probably ready in 2025 because that linebacker chart is really thinning out.
Yeah, it's not the deepest room, and again, since you're only playing two, you're not in a 4-3 anymore generally, and Wisconsin is kind of changing the way that it operates business, and you bring in 4 new Big Ten teams, and none of them are really these downhill running type of teams. You don't need as many linebackers, but Ohio State certainly is pretty thin at the position in terms of where it stands. So there's going to be ample opportunity for somebody like Payton Pierce. I mean, you could maybe see Ohio State look toward the portal to get somebody who could jump in immediately. We've talked about in other capsules about the difference in portal guys that you go after, whether it's the 1-year guy or it's the multi-year guy. But, Pierce is going to be somebody that is going to have some legs and some longevity, I think, in the program.
Yeah, and I do expect Ohio State to add a portal body. And again, it'll come down to, are they going to get like an Elarms or from Cal, who's kind of a rental? Tackett Curtis just entered the portal here on Tuesday. And so that could be a name that Ohio State pursues. There's been some contact there already. So that would be something that could maybe help them bridge the gap here. But they are going to add something in the portal. But for sure, Pierce is walking into a spot where maybe by year 2, he could be a pretty important part of the defense. And this also, last thing kind of here is they keep the Texas pipeline alive. They've had so much success in Texas over the years. It had kind of dropped off there a little bit, but now they're back to getting some Texas guys again with Pierce, James Peoples. I mean, this is a good sign. You're not going to get all the kids in Texas. The Longhorns, kind of being better now is going to make things a little bit tougher, but you got to have a presence in Texas, and this continues that.
Yeah, recruiting the state of Texas is incredibly important for Ohio State. I mean, they've done such a great job there. I mean, you've had periods of where A&M has been down, periods of where Texas has been down. Ohio State's been able to benefit from that, but being able to stay in the mix because – yeah, Texas and Texas A&M certainly are going to get their share. Oklahoma is going to get its share of players from there. But if you can go in and cherry pick a couple 3 players a year, especially at positions that maybe aren't as deep in the state of Ohio or within the traditional footprint, that is going to be important. And I think that, I think we're going to see that continue moving forward, for the foreseeable future.
Yep. So a really strong signing here for Ohio State. Payton Pierce in the fold. Great start to what hopes to be the future of the Ohio State linebacker room. So keep it locked in here at Buckeye Huddle, youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle throughout the day. We'll have more recruiting capsules as the LOIs come in. Thanks for watching and listening.